Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are diving into an important performance optimization technique in React called code splitting. Ever notice that some React apps load super fast while others take forever? The secret is code splitting. Instead of loading everything at once, we can load parts of our app only when needed, making it much faster. In this video, I'll cover what code splitting is, how to implement it in React, the benefits and the best practices. So, let's get started. So, what is code splitting? What's the problem that we're trying to solve? By default, React bundles all components into one big JavaScript file. Users have to download everything even if they don't need all the pages immediately. Let's say a user visits a website and is scrolling through the landing page. Does that user need to download the code for a sign in sign up dialog box? No, that should happen when he or she presses the sign in sign up button. This is what code splitting helps us to achieve. Code splitting breaks this big file into smaller chunks, loading only what's required at that moment. Let's see how this works. So this is a simple React app, and I have also implemented the React router for different routes. As you can see, there is a layout that covers everything, and this houses the navbar also. Okay, next, the first route, of course the home route, will be the app. You can see there is the home written and one image. Next route is the dashboard route. This is the dashboard route. It also again has written dashboard in it and a dashboard img component. And the third route is analytics. So this route is basically the sub route of dashboard, so it will be /dash/dashboard /analytics, and it also has the same thing like analytics written, and inside an image is also there. Now if you look at the browser, you can see this is the app. So this is the home route. If we move into the dashboard, this is the dashboard route, and if you move into the analytics, the route will be /dashboard/analytics, and this is the page. Now if we open the inspector tab and go to the network and reload the page, okay, so as you can see there are 21 requests being made on the initial load, and these include the dashboard component, the analytics component, and the dashboard image component. So as you can see, these are loaded initially, which should not happen. We are in the home route and nothing but the home route should be loaded. We have not moved into the dashboard and the analytics, so that should not be loaded at this moment. Okay, also notice that even though the dashboard image component is inside the dashboard component, and that is the dashboard image component is loaded separately, so a new request is made for that. So this means that for every new component there will be a separate request. Code splitting helps us in reducing these number of requests and also the load time on the initial load. So what we want to happen is, when we move to the dashboard, only then should the dashboard be loaded and not on the initial load. Similarly, when we move to the dashboard, the analytics should not be loaded because we have not moved into that route yet. Only when we move to the analytics route should that be loaded. Let's work on that. So now we'll look into the code splitting. There are three types of code splitting in React. The first one is component based code splitting. Second is route based code splitting, and the third is Webpack code splitting, or it is also known as dynamic imports. We'll now look at component based code splitting. So for component based code splitting, we'll move to the dashboard component. Here we can see that we are importing the dashboard image component directly. Instead of doing that, we can import this lazily. What does that mean? Let's look at it. what we'll do here is const dashboard image equal to React.lazy, and we'll import this component like this. We'll import dot slash dashboard image dot tsx. Okay, now what we will do is we'll wrap this in a suspense boundary. Up, and as a fallback we'll say we'll have a for fallback, and inside the div we will say loading. So let's see what this does to our app. Now I'll again load the app and see what it did. So previously it made 21 requests and now it's making 20 requests. That means the dashboard image component is not being loaded on the initial render. As you can see, you cannot find the dashboard image component here. The dashboard component is being loaded, but still the dashboard image component is not loaded. And now I'll remove all the previous requests and move to the dashboard route. Now only when I move to the dashboard route is this component being loaded, as you can see. And if you missed it, it's also showing the loading state. So this was component based code splitting. So next we move on to the route based code splitting. Now that will happen in main.tsx file, because here is where we have defined all the routes. So I just copy pasted these two lines. These are same as before. It will be components. Yes. So these are same as before. We are lazily loading the dashboard and the analytics component. And again, as before, we have to wrap this in a suspend boundary. So let's do that. We'll say suspense here. Inside that we'll write dashboard, and also as a fallback we'll again do the same thing. We'll just write div loading. Okay, now again with the analytics let's do the same. Suspense, inside it analytics, and as a fallback we'll say, so let's do one thing here. We'll say loading analytics, and here we will say loading dashboard. So now if we move to the browser, let's see what happens. I'll remove all the previous requests, and now we'll load the wait a second, I'll do a hard reload. So let's see. Now you can see there are 18 requests being made. That means the dashboard route and the analytics route is also removed from being rendering in the initial load itself. As you can see, it's not there. Now when we move to the dashboard route, you can see dashboard is being loaded as well as the dashboard image component is being loaded only then. Okay, now if we move again, if we load again, we can see it's loading. Now again if we move to the analytics route, see loading analytics and the analytics component shows up. So this was route based code splitting. Now we'll move on to Webpack code splitting or dynamic imports. So what this helps us to achieve is that let's say we want this image to show up when we click a button, not when we load the page. So now what's happening is, as we load this route or move from home route to dashboard route, this is getting loaded, right? but what we want to happen is that there should be a button, and when we press on that button, this image should appear. That's what we are going to achieve using Webpack code splitting. So let's get started. So now what we'll do is, instead of loading this automatically, we'll comment it out, and what we want to happen is there should be a button here. Okay, and button will say load image. Okay, now it will receive an on click function which will write later. We can comment this out as well, and we do not need this as well. Okay, so next we can write a use state dashboard image set dashboard image equal to react dot use state, and initially it will be null because we don't want the image to appear initially, right? The type here will be jsx dot, we can import it, dot element or null, of course, right? Now we want a function. Let's say call it const load image equal to, it will be an async function, and inside will be a try and catch block, right? We can just log the error saying error loading image error. We can log out the error. Here what we can do is const module equal to await import dot slash dashboard image, right? And then what we can do is set dashboard image to a function, and it will return module dot default. Now what's the issue? Okay, or we can just skip this. Let's see. Yeah, so now we can also log out here that successfully loaded image. Okay, and here we want the image to appear, so we'll say dashboard image and dashboard image. So that means okay, so here will be, have to do this, and then here we'll have to, oh no, it's fine. Okay, I guess then in button we can say on click load image. Now let's move on to the browser. Now as you can see in browser we have a button instead of that image. If we load also, the image will not appear and only the button appears. Now in the network tab also you can see the dashboard image component is not being loaded even when I refresh, right? Now I'll remove these requests and press load image. Now you can see the dashboard image is being loaded. Okay, basically I made a mistake here. It will be a function returning module dot default. And now if we move to the browser again and press on load image, we can see the image gets loaded. This is Webpack code splitting. So this is useful when, say, we want to show a dialog box when we press a button, like a sign in sign up dialog box when we press a button. That's where this is helpful. So these were the three types of code splitting. How do they help us? They help us in achieving faster page load times on the initial load, reduces initial bundle size as we are only rendering what's needed, and the subsequent requests are made only when the user visits that page or clicks a button, etc. It improves performance, especially on slow networks, and works great with React Router. To sum up, code splitting is an essential optimization technique that improves performance by loading only what's needed. We use React.lazy and Suspense boundary and route-based splitting for the best results. So that's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, smash the like button and subscribe for more React tips. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.